Hey everybody, this is Travis again. I had to figure around and find out. Got my trusty helper Heather here. She'll be in the shot in just a moment. She's usually my camera person. I guess I can stand up here. Yeah. She's usually my camera person, but we're doing a video today that requires both of us, and it's not directly figure related, but I do think it's cool.
Well, now, when you're going to break ground to find a place to plant your fig tree,
Well, I mean, it
help.
can be figure related, but regardless, we think it's cool. Not sure how much of the yard you can see from that shot, but we're putting in several garden beds in the front yard here. She has in mind to do cottage garden, isn't that what it's called?
Cottage garden, yeah.
Cottage garden. It's going to be mixed flowers and vegetables, ornamentals and edibles. So we borrowed a tiller from a friend of ours, and a part went tits up on it today. So while we're waiting on the part to arrive that I had to go order this morning, we broke out the old broadfork here, and I'll get you some detail shots of the broadfork here in a second. This is one that I made, and I'll get to that in a second, but irrespective of whether you bought one or you made one, this is a human-powered cultivation device that I found out about as we were, a lot of times in the evening, she and I will pile up in the bedroom and fire up YouTube and watch videos, fig videos. That's where I learned some of the stuff I'm showing y'all in the videos on this channel. General gardening stuff, homesteading stuff. We're not homesteaders, but you know, there's some cool knowledge there. So the broadfork here is a human-powered cultivation tool, and it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 to 36 inches wide, with 4 or 5 tines 8 to 12 inches long, and 2 handles on either side. And what you do is you drive this thing into the ground, step on it, use your body weight to sink the tines in all the way, and then you step back off of it and grab the handles and pull, and it, depending on the soil, if it's soft enough, it'll just kind of come up through, the tines will come up through and cultivate. In this soil, as you're about to see, it kind of pulls up a big old sod, but it's still a starting point. The reason this is a two-person job out front, the soil in our front yard, there's a big oak tree in our neighbor's yard, and it has a network of roots of various sizes that cover pretty much the entire front yard. We were going to try to broadfork all these beds just for the hell of it, you know, but I could sink it into the ground, but without having gone over it first with the tiller, when I stepped back, and understand at the time of this video I'm about 388 pounds, when I stepped back and pulled on these things, it was bending these solid steel T-bars, which is why we borrowed the tiller from our friend. Now, tiller's on the fritz, but my hope was that we had done enough damage to the roots from that oak tree for the broadfork to work, and apparently that was right. We've gotten several successful passes with it, and I thought, well, hell, this is the time to do our broadfork video for the Figure Around and Find Out channel. So now the reason this is a two-person job here is because, in addition to the network of roots that carpets the yard, just below the topsoil, maybe you got a good clump to show them. Oh yeah, look at there. That's from our last turning. Oh yeah, pick that up here.
It weighs as much as a toddler. More than Beth.
Thank you, baby. So yeah, big old Georgia clay. That shit ain't a stereotype.
It's the real deal.
It's the real damn deal.
That's what it looks like.
And so
red
just
ash Georgia clay.
in amongst the topsoil is roots, and just below the topsoil is compacted ass Georgia clay with gravel in it for some reason. So
All the stupid shit.
instead of the tines just sinking straight up into the ground like they will in other places, we've actually got a flower bed around the side of the house that we cultivated entirely using this and a hoe. But because the ground is so hard here, you'll see I'll jam this into the ground, and then she has to grab the handles and hold me vertical while I stand up and rock my weight back and forth and get these tines sunk down into the ground. But
now normally, I guess for people in, with soil that doesn't look like our soil, it probably wouldn't be a two-man job. It wouldn't be that difficult. But
yeah, you can with soil that's not a pain in the ass. Apparently, a broadfork can be used to cultivate 1 to 2 acres of land. So I don't know, that seems like a lot of work, but before the invention of the tiller, and if you didn't have a mule and a plow, I mean, I guess that's what you had to do in order to not starve. So anyway, I'm going to give you a couple of passes with the broadfork here, and then show you a little bit of close-up about it, how I made it and everything. So first we're going to jam it into the ground, and then we'll tag team, get it rocked into the soil, and I'll pull you up a clod, and we may do another one. Like that.
Right, you got it.
All right. So do that.
And magic. Would you look at that?
You see that big old clump? Now that can be broken up with a hoe, a mattock, a spade. We've got a little hand cultivating tool over yonder that we bought at Lowe's the other day. So we're not letting the absence of the tiller slow us down any more than we absolutely have to. But once you've pulled up a sod, a big clump like that, you just back up roughly the length of your tines. Now I tend to be a little forward heavy balance wise, and that actually works out here. You see that thing's at an angle that actually gives us more motion. When we go to give it the old 1-2, I'm gonna do one more here just for the hell of it, and then a close up.
Here we may have hit a spot. There we go. Now you got it. Look at the big old root. Yeah, broadforks don't care about roots.
Hell, let's hit it one more just for the hell of it. It should also be noted, what's today's date?
Today's June the 15th.
June 15th, 2022. We are right smack dab in the middle of the first real heat wave of the summer, which will probably, I mean, it won't last too long. It'll probably last till October.
It's not too bad, right?
But yeah, our time in the front yard draws short. Sun's climbing higher in the sky. We're running out of shade. It's tolerable in the shade, but it's brutal in the sun. And we got nothing but time, so.
Ideally, you would be doing this in the early spring.
Yeah.
As soon as your ground is thawed enough to break, this is when you should actually be doing this.
Not that we here in the South have.
Yeah, we don't.
All right.
We
now,
don't struggle with those kinds of things.
apologies for whatever camera work may be about to happen, because I've got that thing mounted on a T-bar fence post. So here's some close-up of the broadfork. Thank you, baby. So the tines are made out of 5/8 inch bolts that I have sharpened with my grinder. the crossbar is made out of 2 pieces of red oak that comes from, there's a factory nearby that puts out pallets for anybody to take, and they'll have a few of the typical pine kind of spindly pallets that you're probably thinking of when you hear the word, but they also put some out that are made up of 4 pieces of red oak, 2 that are roughly analogous to a 4x4, actually probably closer to a 3x3, and then 2 that are roughly analogous to a 2x6. And they're just there. Just take them, get them the hell out of their way. So I took and drilled through the bottom piece, and please understand that this was the first time I made one of these. If I make another one, there's some things that I'll do different, and if I do make another one, I'll do a video of it. But I drilled through the bottom cross piece, and then counterbored holes in the top piece, the one that my feet actually go on, to allow the heads of the bolts, because it's just plain old 5/8/11 screws, bolts, hex head bolts, 11 inches long. So I counterbored receiving holes in the top part, and then filled them full of wood glue and slathered both surfaces with wood glue and clamped the shit out of it and let it sit for 24 hours. Probably longer than I needed to, but I wanted to err on the side of caution and strength. Now the end here, the handles, you can see, these are
Fence post.
Yeah, just your old garden variety, literally, T-bar fence posts. What are these, about
6 foot?
Yeah, about 6 foot, 6, 7 foot, something like that. And I literally, once I had my horizontal piece completely drilled and glued and assembled and all that, I took some measurements where I wanted the screw holes to be, drilled some clearance holes in the T-bars, and then put them in place and drilled some pilot holes into the wood, and used plain old, I think those are number 10 decking screws, 2 1/4 inches long, something like that. Now I've still got, I had to cut a gap in each end, and I did that with my chainsaw, because I figured, hell, that's the easiest way to make a straight cut, wide enough to accept that part of the T-bar there. I thought about grinding that off, but then I decided I wanted as much rigidity and structural integrity as possible in the handles, since that's taking a whole lot of strain. So yeah, and the reason I use T-bars, they actually sell, hell, they sell wheelbarrow handles and this handle and that handle at hardware stores and Lowe's and shit like that. By the way, we only, when we do go big, we go to Lowe's. We try to shop at East Ridge Hardware when we can, support the little guy, Ace Hardware, if that little guy ain't got it, and then Lowe's if Ace won't do it, but never Home Depot, because fuck Home Depot. You may have noticed our flag here. Politics is in everything, and they're a bunch of goddamn Trump humpers, so fuck them. And if you're a Trump humper, fuck you. I even wrote a song about that. That's another time. But anyway, these were...
We're too queer to vote Republican, and too poor.
Sorry about the derailment there, but these were literally the cheapest potential handles at Lowe's. These were $7.08, and the cheapest outside of this was like 14 bucks a piece. So I thought, well, hell, steel, solid, rigid, tough, cheap, that's a winner. So anyway, that's our broad fork in action. We are just about out of shade, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Should have a video before too terribly long. Our little air layered fig from our first video is doing well, putting on new growth as a matter of fact. So It's probably about ready to venture up to Nashville, to its forever home. And our failed cutting, I don't know if you can see it back there up against the house, the failed goddamn it, the failed air layering attempt that we stuck in the dirt. It's still healthy and happy. It's dropped a couple of leaves, but only two.
I've never seen a bird look like that before.
I don't see it.
Right there under the bird feeder.
I forget what that's called. But it kind of looks like a robin, but it's smaller and it's got a white stripe down its chest. If you know, answer in the comments. But anyway, yeah, our little cutting or failed air layering seems to be surviving. And I've got a home in mind for it. One more bit of fig news. As an early Father's Day present, she bought me a Violette de Bordeaux fig tree from, what nursery was it, baby?
That would be Pixie Gardens in Conyers, Georgia.
Pixie Gardens in Conyers, Georgia. Bought me a
Little mom and
Violette de
pop
Bordeaux.
nursery.
We've got that on our front porch, acclimating. Of course, it just came from Conyers, so it's used to the climate, but it did just get hot, and I don't want to sunblast it. But that's pretty exciting because Violette de Bordeaux, along with my Italian honey, those are give up to be two of the best tasting figs available. Anyway, so broadfork, fig stuff, gardening. Again, thank you for tuning in and checking out another video here at Fig Around to Find Out. Travis Kilgore, my wife Heather, she was assisting me and she's behind the camera now. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have more videos in the next few days. Shit, we might even show tiller videos or something. So y'all stay cool, stay hydrated, everybody be safe, and thank you for watching our video.